Hey, y'all. Welcome to Scared of Beautiful. My name is Plez. I have missed you all so much. Work and life has been crazy lately, but hopefully, prayerfully, in the next week or two, my schedule is going to change a little, and so I'll be making some changes to my channel. I will hopefully be on a schedule with you all, so you'll know when to catch me more regularly. But I missed y'all, and I could not let Married at First Sight end or dwindle down because tonight we have the reunion, and allegedly the reunion is two parts. So we still got to deal with these season 12 knuckleheads a little while longer. But last week was decision day. I've been caught up with work and life. I actually did not watch the episode until yesterday. So I was like, oh, it's a lot to unpack on this one. So if you are new to the channel, please hit the like button. If you're one of my faithful regular subscribers, I love you all. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your comments if you catch the replay, or if you are here with me now, give us some feedback, engage, and you will notice that I said us. So today we have a special guest. For you all who follow me on All About the Tea, or who got introduced to me through All About the Tea, then you know this guy. He is none other than my brother, the Bishop. Let's welcome Bishop to the stream. Woo woo. Bishop.
Hey,
Bishop said, please, like Married at First Sight is a hot mess. My sister has gotten me into it, and I want to talk about it. So I promised him the next time I went live that I would bring him on. And it's wonderful because you get the male perspective, not just mine all the time. So we get to see what a man thinks about this craziness, this social experiment that is Married at First Sight. How are you, Bishop?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I am well. Today has been a day, but I am happy to be here kicking it with y'all. Thank you, Lori, so much. You're so supportive. I see you all the time over on All About the Tea for the Canadian coin. Thank you so much for that super chat, sis. And thank you for showing your support. Fee, thank you as well for your super sticker. We're gonna dive into it because, like I said, y'all, it's a lot to unpack. Decision day was very interesting to say the least. What did you think about it, Bishop?
Decision day. It was bananas. I mean, all the bad editing. I don't know if you caught that. 1 minute a person had their jacket on, next minute the jacket was off. I'm like, wait a minute now. The decision wasn't that tough because I'm seeing some a little stuff here and there, but it was just a train wreck all the way
Yeah,
around.
it was a lot. It was interesting. I will say some of the decisions I was a little surprised by. Some of them I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we have the hot mess that is Chris and Paige, and we will get there. But also, y'all know on my channel, I love to talk about um educating people, enlightening people, along with
Mm-hmm.
our entertainment. So, throughout the show, we'll be talking about narcissism, gaslighting, and manipulation, and how we can see that really play out. I'm a firm believer that human behavior is our greatest example and our greatest teacher. So when I watch these reality shows, yeah, I'm watching for entertainment, get a little kiki, but I'm also looking like, I'm peeping out the game. I'm looking at some triggers, honey, that I may have had from past relationships. And it's like, how can we learn? How can we do things better? How can we stop ourselves from a little bit of heartache by noticing these traits and characteristics in the red flags as soon as we see them and not ignore them? Thank you so much, To Be Black Native, for the super chat. Hi, beautiful. Hope to see you later. Watching Uncle Roro. Yes, thank you so much for your support. I know it's lots of places y'all can be in these YouTube streets, so I'm happy you're here with me and Bishop. And if not, you can always catch it on the replay. Bishop also has his own channel where he's doing wonderful things. What's the name of your channel, Bishop?
The channel is The Bishop with 2 E's. So yeah, you can
So
find me.
y'all, put that in the search. Catch up with Bishop and all of the things that he's doing on his channel. So let's get back to it. Somebody said, Dornea Lee says, a hot smoking mess. Yes, it exactly was a hot smoking mess. All right, y'all. So the episode opens up. We see the couples waking up. We know if you're a Married at First Sight fan like I am, I've been watching from the first season. Every time before decision day, they split the couples up. They have to sleep separately so they can theoretically make their sound decisions. Next, the first couple up we see to make their decision is Clara and Ryan. It was very interesting watching these experts, and we're going to use that term loosely because of what happened this season, and some of the previous seasons, honestly, talk about the couples and why they were matched. Thank you, Ray Z, for the super chat. Thank you so much for the support, sis. But Dr. Viviana, when she's talking about Clara and Ryan, says that they are the perfect opposites attract romance. Now, do you think that, Bishop? Do you think they were the perfect opposites attract? Do you think there is a such thing as perfect in a relationship, or that opposites attract?
Well, I kind of can see opposite attract because I have seen people that's opposite, but they were magnetic to one another. You know, they fit one another. As far as perfect, no, human beings are not perfect, so that's kind of a stretch. But I see when people say that because it's like almost like they fit like a glove, so I can see that in a sense. But
Well, I'll give you my opinions, and I said it throughout my reviews, I think, of the show, and I'll reiterate it here, y'all. Opposites do attract, right? That's the yin and yang. That is the magnetism of our lives and relationships. However, it is my opinion that you have to have key fundamental similarities to make it last long term. So yes, just like two magnets, in the night, it's like, oh my God, you have this, I have this, let's get together. But when life gets real, as the years go on in a marriage, once children come along, yeah, it gets kind of real in the field. And that's where I worry with Ryan and Clara. And that's why I wouldn't call them perfect, because I'm like, oh, they had a lot of struggles and the couple themselves just glossed over it. And unfortunately, again, like Bishop said, it's probably editing, but the experts seem to gloss over it as well and like wanting to downplay the issues that they're having in this marriage. They show a montage of all of the 8 weeks of their time together. Ryan says he likes having someone to come home to. And even in listening to the husband and the wife talk about each other and what they liked about each other, you could see the vast differences in their personalities. Ryan is very logical. Clara is very emotional. She says Ryan is loving, but he can't say the words. Although he can't say the words, she believes his actions say it. Bishop, is Clara lying to herself? Do you think his actions show that he loves her? And should she be okay with not hearing the words?
Well, if you want to go back to like old school relationships, a lot of men didn't say the word "I love you," and back in the day, that people understood what was not spoken of, so they understood it. I wouldn't tax it against either of them for one being was the man being very logical and the woman being very emotional. The issue I have, there is no compatibility in my opinion. I don't see no chemistry, and I don't see it. The way he looks at her like that could be his girlfriend, like his homegirl.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up no romantic type of, you know, between them. There was no sparks in my opinion. I think she was fooling herself. Like me and my sister, we joke about it. She was looking for a black man. You know what I mean? A black man, you know. And you know, and oftentimes a lot of white women make this mistake. They snatch any black dude, but they don't understand there are, I hate to say it like this, watered down versions of us. Um I,
Well, yeah, we're not a monolith, but yeah,
right, we're not
he's not what you
traditional.
yeah, he you can tell that his influence is a bunch of mixed things, which is
Yeah.
good,
Ain't
but
nothing wrong with that, yeah.
for me, I just feel like Clara was completely delusional and lying to herself. And again, long term, this isn't going to work. If she keeps doing this to herself, Dornelia says he needs to be able to say it. I
Mm-hmm.
completely agree, Dornelia. And
Mm-hmm.
this was what I was getting to in the terms of like, should it be okay that his actions just show it? You know, we always talk about our partners and, you know, love languages and all of those
Mm-hmm.
wonderful things. If her love language is words of affirmation and she needs to be reassured verbally that he loves her, particularly since he's not reaffirming it physically right now, um, that's what she needs.
Mm-hmm.
And she shouldn't have to let go of that need simply because it's uncomfortable for him. That's
Mm-hmm.
part of doing the work with your partner.
Mm-hmm.
She has said repeatedly she needs that to feel loved. And he is just holding strong with this. I must trust you first. So I get it. It's only 2 or 3 months into their relationship, but it just worries me that he was self-reportedly in another relationship for over 2 years and never said it then either. So it's like, is she gonna look up and be resentful and bitter AF in a year or two if he never says the words? Um, and I don't think she should compromise that. Jania Lee says, but did his actions show it though? For me, his actions showed, maybe if not like a full on love, like he's getting there. He was, I will give him credit, very attentive. He paid attention to when she talked and the things that she said she wanted, even small little things like changing the backyard, you know, stringing up the lights and doing things, trying to make space for her in his home. You know, when a man makes space for you, I think that is their way of showing love. And I get what Bishop was saying. Yeah, in the old school, a lot of people didn't say it, but as we know, there are lots of damaged people to this day because they mama, they daddy never told them they loved them. You know, and of course they showed it because they paid the bills and had food on the table. But people need to hear that. You know, that's part of what makes us human and what makes us different from animals. Next we see Clara saying that they ask her about the sex thing. She's like, she doesn't want to die on that hill regarding sex since she believes that they will be together forever. Again, I think she is overcompensating and compromising what she wants. She's bending all of her wishes and needs for him, and I just think in the long run that's going to backfire on her. He still to this day hasn't said I love you. Clara says Ryan is her best friend, the best relationship she's had, and the best husband that she's had. She definitely wants to stay married. Ryan starts off. I'm like, here we go with this editing. He's stuttering a lot. He's hemming and hawing. You don't know what he's gonna say. Um, but he says that she has gotten into his head more than any relationship he's ever had before, and she's gotten to know him better than anyone else. Then he says he 150% wants to stay married. Y'all, I was shocked. I was shocked. I don't know about Bishop. I was shocked. I did not know that Ryan was going to say that he wanted to stay married. He's so logical. And that last episode, when they did that compatibility test, honey, and the personality test, and she had no goals, no ambition, no dreams, I'm like, because again, this is another thing where opposites attract. But in the long term, when he's trying to family plan, when he's trying to plan finances, is he going to struggle with having to, drag Clara along and force her to get on board or coerce her to get on board? What about you, Bishop? Were you shocked, or you knew that they were going to do it, or what?
I don't. I kind of figured that they were going to stay together. Just some fact, she's in Delusionalville, and he needs a beard, in my opinion.
Well, you and Risa think alike. Risa said he found the perfect beard.
Yeah, I've kept thinking that, and and he said the other relationship, he never said I loved you. He was in it for 2 years. I want to ask, was that a man or a woman? Because if it was a woman, I'm thinking that he's just not into women. And I'm not here to shame nobody about their sexuality, but there are just some things that just didn't quite add up.
Yeah, I just couldn't get a clear read on him the whole show. I was like, is it like, severe indoctrination because of his religious background? Is he asexual? Because they have people that are like that aren't homosexual. They're just asexual. And so sex isn't really a big thing for them. But like Lillian says, Claire's line, she wants sex, intimacy, and fun. I think she's making him feel good orally, and she wants what she wants, and he won't give it to her. So that part threw me off with the asexuality theory, because I'm like, well, why is he letting her get him off every night? Now, she's to blame in that as well, because if it's not reciprocal, sir, those benefits are going to stop real soon. So I don't know how she's keeping it going like that. Again, I think it speaks just to her and how she's willing to compromise everything to show him that she's worthy. And that's a dangerous, slippery slope.
You know what it is? It's a quiet way of the power struggle. And even though they're not as loud as some of the other couples may have been, what he does is he preys on a weak person. And I think when they said, "Oh, we found a perfect match for them," but they fed her to the lion. However, she loves being the prey. This is why she had them destructive relationships, because she's always looking for someone to save her. And that's where the problem comes in at. And both of them, in my opinion, they don't really vocalize what they really want.
Yeah,
they just play these little games, and one person, to me, ain't living their truth, and the other person is afraid to speak the truth because of the ramification that the person might leave them. So she has abandonment issues.
True. Who is this? Queen Sheba. Hey sis, wild players and the Bishop talking about MAFS. What a treat. Yes, we are talking about it finally. All right. Dr. Pepper is the one expert that at least that we see that's kind of on the right track. She says they still have real life challenges that must be faced, and real life begins now. The cameras are going to go away theoretically if they don't sign up to be on couples cam, and we'll get into the nitty gritty. And so I'm excited. Once we do all about the tea tonight, I'm gonna run over and watch this first part of the reunion, because they show if they really stayed together past decision day. Honestly, I think another part of me feels like because of Ryan's religious background and all of the imagery that comes along with that, he was going to stay married at least for TV purposes. Now they may get divorced down the line, but for right now, he wasn't gonna embarrass his parents or anybody else on TV. But yeah, I'll be interested. I just think they'll need a lot of counseling to make it work long term. It's gonna be interesting. Next, we get to Haley and Jacob. Ugh. They show a montage of those horrible 8 weeks that they had together. I loved when they came out that Jacob was true to himself. He was like, screw you, Haley. You're not going to change me. I am showing up in my blazer and jeans and cowboy boots. I like it. It was the perfect passive aggressive FU to stone faced Haley, and I loved it. But Haley did look pretty in her dress. And I think Jacob looked nice in his outfit. We have to learn how, like, what the small things are in a relationship. And that's a small thing. Like, over time, girl, you could have pruned him and made him, laid out his clothes every day before y'all before y'all go somewhere where you think he may embarrass you. But on an everyday basis, let that man wear what he wants to wear. It's not that serious. Haley talks about how much she learned during this experiment. She learned about communication and not shutting down. Did she, Bishop? Did she? Because I don't know if you saw what I saw, but I felt like as soon as they started talking, she shut down. I was
She
like,
turned to a whole mannequin.
yeah. I was like, girl, you said you just learned you can go teach classes now on communication and how not to shut down. And as soon as Jacob started pushing back on that narrative you were painting, you were like, mm-mm. Jacob says he learned about having patience under pressure. He admits that he blows up sometimes. And so, yeah, I mean, look, self-awareness is key. If nothing else in these 8 weeks, I am proud in a lot of these individuals, maybe not as couples, but as individuals, they did have some type of self-awareness. Haley says Jacob was projecting past relationships on her, and his conversation was too heavy. Thank you, Patricia Cluis, for the super chat. Sis, lies, lies, lies. Haley, really? Yes, ma'am. She was lying to herself because we didn't buy that crap. But Haley was right. When we get to the end and we talk about narcissism and gaslighting and things like that, projection is part of it, right? He did project there a lot onto her, but she also projected a lot onto him. And this is why, again, experts, I'm using this term very loosely, because to me, this show is a show above all reality shows that should be heavily vetted. These candidates should be heavily vetted. You need to do deep dives into these people's background. So Haley, as soon as Haley said, I've been single for 7 years, I only got a little bachelor's in psychology, honey. And that sent off red flags for me because I'm like, okay, well, what have you been doing in these 7 years? Have you dated at all? Have you been to a psychiatrist or psychologist? Sign this waiver and let me see those people's notes. Because if she's just been like working or sitting up in the house for 7 years, she wasn't ready to go from not even being dating or being in a relationship to a full-on marriage. Similarly, Jacob needed to do his work because as soon as one thing was off with Haley, he went right back to his past bad relationships where he had been cheated on and used or misused. That wasn't fair for either one of them. But for Haley to sit there and act like he was the only one projecting, no, ma'am, Pam. No, we're gonna stop that narrative the way it was. Right where it's at. Jacob says he was trying. He was. What I mean, do you think so, Bishop?
I,
Watching the whole season, I felt like Jacob at least tried. He tried the clothes. He
mm-hmm,
tried everything she pretty much asked him to do. He tried. Now he did have very dry conversation,
he did.
and it was hard trying to kickstart him. But I feel like Haley didn't do as much as she could have to say to ask follow up questions.
Mm-hmm. I think it was a hit and miss for them too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he tried like the first few weeks, and then he shut down, and then all of a sudden she want to pick up the mantle and start trying. It's like, ma'am, mannequin. Like, why would you wait until he completely closed down and all of a sudden say, I'm trying? Well, by then it's closed. The door is closed. So now you want to try? So it to me, with them, the timing was off for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
how
it
I felt.
goes back to also honoring your significant other's love language.
Mm-hmm.
He said that his love language is physical touch. And so when I say Haley didn't try, they got plenty of assignments where it's like, just lay next to each other in the bed.
Right.
Just give the man a hug.
Mm-hmm.
And even when he pointed that out to her, you hug strangers. She's like, but I also don't have to go home with them. Like, girl,
What?
give that man a church hug and move on with your day. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? That would show you're at least trying to put some effort in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she wasn't trying to put any effort. The 80s things, the things like that just completely turned her off. And then like I felt he was a good sport on all of the sporting dates that she wanted to go on, all the games that she wanted to play, and
Mm-hmm.
the ones where she would gloat when she won. I'm like, you're not even a gracious winner. Like, sheesh, you,
Right.
you're a complete ball buster. But Dr. Pepper points out how well they did on the say something nice about your spouse exercise. And then Jacob points out how they won the how well do you know your spouse challenge at the retreat. It's clear that even though they weren't getting along, they were listening to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they were actually observing each other and taking notes on what the other person's likes and dislikes were. I just feel like after those first communication things went wrong in Vegas and things like that, as Haley said, like, she shut down. And as
Mm-hmm.
much as she wants to say, oh, I learned not to shut down, she continues to shut down. Thank you, Benita, for the super chat, sis, and the support. Um, she shut down in the whole conversation. Once Jacob started pushing back and saying, no, like, I tried to have different conversations with you.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, well, you ask the same questions over and over. Even Dr. Pepper was like, well, what were the questions? And she couldn't repeat them.
She
I'm like,
couldn't.
girl, come on now. Pastor Cal says Jacob asked Jacob what would he say if Haley did not want a divorce and instead said she wanted to try. Jacob says they had 8 weeks to try and he doesn't know if they did.
Mm.
Haley agrees. She says that she gave all she could. Well, girl, that was a piss poor attempt. And I hope you try better in your next relationship.
And she lying because the way she was looking, like when Pascal asked that question, she was looking like, is he gonna say what he stayed? And I think her whole opinion was on what he was gonna say. Now, if he would say, yeah, I'll stay with her, she would say yeah too.
Oh no, I
I
think
don't
she would
believe
have
him.
said no. I think she
Mm.
I think she was ready to run. She was ready to run really after Vegas. I think,
Mm.
she was the if you look up Marshawn Lynch's I'm just here so I don't get fined, like take Marshawn out. That was Haley. Haley was like, they ain't taking my little money from me. They say it's $100,000 if you don't complete it. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Mina Mina says the sex was awful. Yes, ma'am. I don't know what happened in Vegas.
Woo.
I don't know, but I agree. I think that's really what it boiled down to, because I think if the sex had been a little better, she would have tried a little harder. She could have overlooked the neon clothes and the members only jackets. But anyway, Haley says she doesn't want to settle and she wants a divorce. Interestingly enough, in her confessional, she says getting a divorce is a failure to her, but she's ready for the future. And Jacob is his regular optimistic self. He says he is optimistic and hopeful. He's taken a lot of knees in the groin in his life, and this is just another one on the totem pole. Linda says, yes, player, she never tried. She a track star. Amen. Um, Patricia, thank you for the super chat. Players Bishop, do you think there was a bit more maturity in Jacob than Haley? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. What about you, Bishop?
No, it was a lot more maturity on his end than her. She's a, like I said, she's a whole mannequin. Like if she's not a track star, she is a statue.
Yeah, she'll run she'll track star. That's her. Donovan, thank you for this wonderful compliment. He said, I just have to say I love y'all. Vibe is always on 100. Thank you so much. I agree. Bishop is good people. Oh, now get to the meat and potatoes of this thing. The main event, honey. Chris and Paige. Chris and Paige. I've said this many times. If y'all watch my overviews, the past episodes of Married at First Sight, if you haven't and you're new here, go watch them. Check them out. They're pretty good. If I must say so myself, to my own horn, BB. Okay. Anyway, Chris should give master classes. You know, I heard the subways ain't doing well, sir. So you have a whole niche that you have not checked into. I don't want to encourage people to learn these asshole traits, excuse me. But Chris has them down packed, honey. That man gave a master class and tied up those people's nice production for 6 hours with his bullshit. Because that's what it was. I can't even sugarcoat it. I try not to cuss. That was BS from beginning to end. I wanted to give him an Academy Award. That was trash. But let's get into it, right? If y'all haven't seen it, please go watch it. If I'm telling you, if you mess with if you've had a narcissist in your life in the past, it's a trigger warning. So trigger warning, lots of games come with Chris. But let's talk about it. So Pastor Cal, it's so funny to me to watch these people try to justify how they made this match. And I said it early on. All they heard was Chris say he loved God and Paige say she loved God. And that was it. And they were like, oh, they both love God. Let's put them together. Pastor Cal says they were matched because of their desire to build a family, a legacy, and their faith in God. Chris's faith in, well, I can't talk about his faith in God, but his the showing of his faith in God was as shallow as a kiddie pool. From the first matchmaking episode that they showed us, this man sat there and said he's looking for a submissive freak. Now, I'm not saying that men of God ain't looking for those things, but that's usually not the first thing that they say. A real man of God at least wants to play like, I want a woman who is virtuous and compassionate and who will be a great mother. You know, the freak part it might be on the list, but it's like number 10 because you don't want to lead with that as a man of God. Like, you don't want to just lead with that. All he talked about was his designer clothes, how ready he is to go to the next gala, and and a very superficial love of God. Paige, Lord have mercy, is so indoctrinated that she believes that marriage is going to cure everything in her life. And unfortunately, this was the worst. It's like a perfect what is it? Like a perfect disaster? Is that what I'm trying to say?
A
No,
beautiful
but
disaster.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Theoretically, if you're just looking on the surface, yeah, they were compatible. But if you did the slightest of a scratch, that was not going to work. Starting with, and people, look, let me be very clear. I don't like to talk about physical features and what someone looks like. But when Chris described the woman who he wanted to be the mother of all of these children that he wants and wants to build a legacy, the picture that came to my mind wasn't Paige. And that's all I'm going to say. Anyone who knows men who operate and move like Chris, when he says he wants a trophy wife, that wasn't Paige. And for Pastor Cal to act like he didn't know what that meant lets me know he's either severely out of touch with his brothers or he's getting a little too old, or he's giving them too much credit. I don't know what it is. I think they need new experts, because book sense, common sense just wasn't meshing with this one. Anyway, let's get into it. Paige says Chris was well groomed, ambitious, and he has a very unique sense of humor. He is genuine at times, but it's overshadowed by his duplicitous and erratic behavior. He leaves her feeling confused and rejected. He didn't let God lead him in his marriage, and he didn't nurture their spiritual bond. Girl, y'all ain't have no spiritual bond, but okay, not even the beginning one.
Yeah, they did have a spiritual bond.
They didn't.
You know why I'm gonna say that?
Why?
Is because she's used to being ran over. Again, the universe brings you who's your match, and she's a perpetual victim, and he is a victimizer.
Well, that's true from that perspective, but Paige is looking at it from a actual spiritual bond that needed to be nurtured by the word of God. That's what she desires, and that wasn't there. But to your point, and I'll get to it when she keeps saying God brought us here for a reason. I hope you finally got the lesson that God has clearly been trying to tell you, because you could tell even from her friends' response to Chris at the reception when he talked about her body, and they said, oh, people always love her body and they don't get to know her heart. She leads with her body. And she thought with this situation, she was going to get matched, and this person was going to have to love her and be her husband. And if they didn't, she was just going to use her body to entice them or keep them the way she has in the past. So hopefully she has finally realized that ain't it. Because the man had a whole ring on his finger, slept with you multiple times in one night, and was still like, no, thank you. I'm good. Anyway, Chris says when he saw Paige, he felt blessed. I gotta give you what I was thinking the whole time Chris was talking. He says Paige is the true definition of a wife. She's loyal, intelligent, humble, patient, cares about others, carries herself with class and respect, and she is amazing with lots of love to give. Oh, that sounds so nice. Sounds so nice. It also sounds like what narcissists like. They like people who are loyal and patient and caring about others with lots of love to give so they can drain you of every piece of it. That's what they do. That's what they operate in. Thank you so much for the generous super chat, Patricia. Power outage here in Sacramento. Here in Sacramento. What did I miss? I'm so sorry, y'all are having trouble in Sacramento. The South is getting hit with all this rain as well.
Mm-hmm.
You just missed us talking about what we just getting started on Chris and Paige, so you get into the good parts of it. But
Yeah.
we just read Jacob and Haley a little bit. So just go back and catch the replay for anything that you missed. Chris says that Paige's weak points are that she gets agitated and she shuts down. She struggles with protecting him and his feelings. Y'all, 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 y'all. Protecting him and his feelings.
What in the kumbaya? What the world?
Man, this supposed to be a godly man. This supposed to be a leader. You supposed to protect her, sir. Like, what are you talking about? And yeah, she's supposed to cover you and protect you too. But the fact that you focus on come on now. All right. He said he was looking forward to being a power couple and having lots of kids. Chris said their positive memories were playing pool, basketball, scripture reading. He felt like he had an ally, intimacy beyond the physical. Paige likes Chris's vulnerability and his confidence and that he doesn't back down when confronted. She says that God put them in this experiment for a reason. And Paige, I have a note, brand new, y'all. This is breaking news directly from God. No. Mm-mm. God didn't do that. God didn't do that. Stop it. Like, stop putting God in your crap. Stop it. God didn't do that. You trying to rush God and get a husband because you desperate in these streets. God didn't do that. But since you did it, God was gonna let you get clobbered over the head with the lesson until you got it, because that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't to hurt you, it's to help you in the long run. I promise you, sis. Paige says she never felt valued or respected. She knew their connection was off since the wedding, but the baby was too much. Too much. Dr. Viviana asks the question that we all wanted to know: why did you keep coming back, Paige? Paige says she kept coming back because she was hopeful. She was confusing love with the idea of marriage, and she lost herself in the process. I give credit when credit is due. You know, she shows some self awareness in that. She is definitely in love with the thought of marriage, so she gets a little credit there. Dr. Pepper asked Chris how he could have been nicer to Paige or what he regretted, what he would take back. Chris says he regrets not moving in. The abandonment started for him in the plane ride back from Vegas, where he did not ride back on the plane to Atlanta with Paige. He actually took a separate plane to Illinois, his home state. I actually disagree. I think the abandonment started the morning after the wedding when you slept with that girl multiple times and then said you weren't attracted to her and you left the room without saying anything to her for 3 to 4 hours. You left her then feeling rejected, abandoned, alone because you couldn't even be man enough to say, I need some time to think. You told her you were going out to get breakfast. No, that's what they used to do back in the day. They husbands say he going to get some milk and don't never come home. It's in the blood, Bishop. It's generational trauma. What are your thoughts so far? What Are you buying any of what Paige and or Chris is selling?
Um. Well, what she's telling is the truth. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's classic, you know, traumatic stress that she's feeling and she's used to it. With him, he is a devil straight from hell. And if he don't get it together, hell should be his home. There's gonna be a special place in hell for him too. Um, however, with him, he abandoned her the day she walked down the aisle
Mm.
because the way he was looking at her, and he could have said no. He could have said, "Nah, this ain't a match," and he could have been upfront right then and there instead of leading her on that whole time, and then start talking crap about her to her friends. Like, I don't know how she didn't feel and know that he was not feeling her. Like when they were sitting at the table, you know, like when they was eating at the reception, and I'm sitting there like, girl, you clearly can't see that he don't like you. You know what?
Well,
Well,
he said it. He said it to her friends at the
mhm.
reception. And again, it could be the magic of editing. V. Spencer says it as well. I just want to know where Paige's parents, family, line sisters, friends, hell, anybody were. Girl, me too. Me too. I ain't gonna touch on the line sister thing because when I saw that Bible cover at the Bible study episode, I saw it and rolled my eyes and kept moving. I refused. I'm not even gonna address that. But
You don't claim her.
I don't talk about sorority. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saying. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh,
Mm.
um, again, I don't know if it's editing. They didn't show any of that, or what happens in a lot of these relationships in real life. The person knows what their family and friends are gonna say, so they don't tell them. They hide that part. I guarantee you, there's a lot that went on that her family had to see on TV like everybody else because she knew what they were gonna say and she didn't want to hear it. You know, people like that, because I've been there once before in my life. Not to this extent, Jesus, no. But you know, the relationship that I talk about sometimes that I was in for 6 years, my family and friends were like, that ain't it. That ain't the one, sis, like that. And I was just like, no, y'all just don't understand him, blah, blah, blah. But please believe the man ain't never tell me I'm not attracted to you. I don't want you. I got another baby on the way. Within a week, like, girl, it like
Right.
if she was getting hit by red fire trucks. Forget the red flags. She was getting ran over by fire trucks within the first week and ignored it.
You said
Consistent.
week or hours?
You're right. The trucks kept coming. They were all. Patricia says, Chris, boy, you need to really seek God's divine intervention. Mina says that was some F boy stuff. Paige should have chucked up the deuces then. Absolutely. Queen Sheba said Paige is stuck in church culture. What did Melody say? God said go. Yes, ma'am. V. Spencer, yes, the Bible study he planned and asked her, what scripture are we reading tonight? Then his cheesy self said, well, I fed you physically, you can feed me spiritually. No, rusty chicken. Probably wasn't even fresh. No, sir, no, ma'am. All right. Lori says she thinks it's creative editing. It could be. Cause I'm like, I know this girl got somebody who cares about her. I know she does. Um, Now we really get to good juicy parts, y'all. So Chris starts telling Paige that she was the best thing he never cherished. She embodied everything he ever wanted in a wife. He allowed external circumstances to affect that. He apologizes to her from the bottom of his heart for ruining this experiment in their relationship. She was what he needed in a wife. I don't know about Bishop, but me, and I think pretty much anybody watching with a brain, and definitely the experts were like this.
Right.
like,
Duh.
like everybody was like, "Sir,
We all knew that.
what are you doing right now? Like what
But
is
this is
this?"
my thing. The please, thank you for catching my tongue, Lord. I'm about to say the N word. I'm like, of course, that's why they hooked you up with her. You idiot. Because that's what you said you wanted. Oh my God.
Everybody, even the experts, were visibly uncomfortable. Like Pastor Cal and Dr. Viviana kept looking at each other like, "The fuck is this? Like, what is going
Right.
on?" Paige says that she has been waiting to hear those words, and she appreciates his sentiments. When he said he was afraid of falling in love, Chris says when he said he was afraid of falling in love, he meant that. He gets really quiet, and the experts ask, "What's wrong?" He reveals that Mercedes had a miscarriage. He gets up and runs from the room. Paige runs after him. The producers say he got in his car and left. And in scene, I'm like, where is Ashton Kutcher? Y'all, where is Ashton Kutcher? Like, I just knew we were getting punked. Everybody's getting punked. The experts are getting punked. People were floating around the idea that Chris and Paige were actors and actresses, and they concocted this together to get on TV. You know, it was a scheme that Todd came up with. I don't know, but I'm starting to think, because I'm like, she can't be this crazy. Like, she can't be this delusional.
No, there's women like her like that.
She
I
is.
I I, I really believe that he came on the show and Mercedes and his family knew what the plan was. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. And I don't think Mercedes was ever pregnant. I think this was a thing to set whoever girl it was up. And he wanted to be on TV. She can get on TV, and that builds up their followers. Because till this day, a lot of people on 90 Day Fiance who never made it, with their partner, they're still now, they had their 15 minutes of fame and they stretched it out. I don't think she had any clue. I believe that Dr. Pepper, her messy self, I think she's from the pits of hell, but that's neither here nor there. I think she set this whole thing up. I think Dr. Viviana and Pastor Cal, I think they had good intentions of really, working people because they have a genuine love for people. You can tell when they talk to people. I think Dr. Pepper, who is the Mona Scott Young of this franchise, I think she didn't want to set this mess up this season because she wants some drama. She knows it's gonna bring in ratings. And people that even know nothing about Married at First Sight, they're like, "This is Chris and Paige," and they're like, "I never heard this show, but I gotta watch this."
Dr. V Spencer says Dr. Viviana was not for the issue. She
No,
was
she
not.
wasn't.
She couldn't even say it. Faisa Hayes says, she says, "Can we say PR to restore him from being the villain of the piece?" He was trying hard, sis. He was laying it on thick. I don't think production was doing that. That's some mess he concocted in his, again, narcissistic brain.
Mm-hmm.
Jania Lee says, "I thought Dr. P was going to fly over and start windmilling Chris." Dr. P to me had on just a very, her face was poker face.
Smug.
I didn't see her face as much as Pastor Cal and Dr. Viviana. They
She was
both
smug.
were
She was
like,
smug. She was smug the whole time.
yeah. Troy TV says, "Love the idea of marriage so much and thinks this is God's will." Child, God gave us all common sense and gives us a choice to use it. Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. So, since Ashton Kutcher didn't come out, child, I just knew he was waiting in the wings somewhere. They come back from commercial. Chris is sitting in the car. He didn't actually leave. He's sitting in the car. Paige gets in. He has his face covered and he's making crying sounds, but there were no tears. And baby, he was pressing them eyes, trying to get them to come out. Ooh, ooh, wasn't a tear in sight. Oh, I just am so. Oh my God, y'all. He says he felt alone after Vegas and that no one liked him. He needed Paige, but he was selfish. He should have protected her, and he didn't. He says he thought he knew what he wanted, but Paige was there for him at his lowest point. So he doesn't know if he can walk away now. Your lowest point is running out of this ballroom into your car. Bye. Paige now says she's confused and her mind is all over the place. This is the first time Chris has shown some emotion and he has affirmed her as a woman and as his wife. I just have to give a replay of this because that's what I felt the whole time. It's what I felt the whole time trying to watch him cry. That's what I felt when she was actually falling for this BS. I'm like, we are literally watching a master manipulator live and direct, like right on TV. He then, lays it on even thicker. He says he asks if she's okay, if she's cold, because clearly she is. She's clasping her hands, walking like this. He finally removes his jacket, some gentlemanly like behavior, and covers her shoulders. But see, again, to somebody like Paige who reads too much in any little thing, now he's covering her. Now he's protecting her. Paige comes back in the room, and I don't know if y'all peeped this. This peeped stuck out to me. She walks into the room first. Once again, she's the leader. And she apologizes for his behavior once again. She apologizes to the experts for them running out. But really, it was Chris who ran out, and then she went out to comfort him and check on him. So it's him. He's the ass. He's the one who's disrespectful to production. He's the one who makes everything about him. Monet or Monty, however you want to pronounce it, I'm sorry, sis, says, also note that Chris is the only participant that I know of that had public access to his Instagram account while the show was airing. Normally, production requires all social media be shut down. I thought they all had access, but that they weren't supposed to post. So he was the one who was actually posting. That's what was very interesting to me as well. LS Sweetie says he removed his jacket when he reached into the building. Absolutely. He didn't do it when they were outside walking. Patricia says Paige needs to speak God's word regarding strength. She actually does. Paige and Chris way too messy, the both of them. Absolutely. The experts immediately ask her how she feels. Y'all, I just wanted to shake her. This was the time where I wanted to summon the strength of Medea. Good old Tyler Perry. I needed to shake her like the rag doll, like Medea used to be doing in those plays. Because I think that's the only way she may get it. The experts ask her how she feels. She says she's overwhelmed and both mentally and emotionally. She feels that the baby was the main reason their marriage didn't work. And now that the baby, that obstacle has been taken away, she's like, oh, wow. Really, girl? Okay. Pastor Cal has had enough of it. He wants to be sensitive to the topic. And I must say, I agree with Bishop. I've said this again in my earlier reviews from Jump. I felt like both Chris and Mercedes were flat out lying about this alleged pregnancy as a way to try to get Chris out of the show. They just didn't expect Paige to be the queen mother of Ride or Die. They didn't expect her to be holding on for dear life the way she was. So it was like, oh, I thought I had a plan to be able to get out of this. She ain't really what I want. She's not my type. Let me say, what other wild thing can you come up with? My ex-fiance is pregnant. Dun, dun, dun. Because most black women, most women I know, gonna be like deuces. Because again, you've known this man for a week, 1 week when he was dropping all of these bombs. Pastor Cal says he wants to be sensitive. He doesn't want to offend anyone regarding this miscarriage or anything, but he wants everyone to look at the big picture. He says, wasn't your relationship in trouble before the pregnancy reveal? Yes. Yes, it was, Pastor Cal. Thank you for reminding us. It was trash. That little alleged baby had nothing to do with it. Thank you, Miss Alexandra J. Sis, for the super chat. Sending love, got in late. Going to watch the recap later. Don't worry, I already hit that like button. Thank you so much, sis. Y'all hit that like button if you are enjoying this breakdown, analysis, review that Bishop and I are doing. Yeah, the relationship was in trouble well before the baby. Chris downplays it and says, well, yeah, we had some issues with attraction, but he felt that they were headed down the right track. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. It makes him think, what if there was no pregnancy? Pastor Cal asks, are you saying that this relationship is not over? Chris says he has feelings for Paige. She's everything he needed in a wife. Paige starts grinning like a chess cat, y'all. Just the slightest bit of attention, and that's Paige. She is now forgetting everything that this man put her through. She is reveling in the fact that he has finally said something nice about her, ignoring the fact that everything he said nice about her was only because it helped him. Her being loyal, her being full of love to give, means that's a lot for him to exploit. Patricia Cluis, thank you again for the super chat. Sis, percentage is down to 0. Power outage, hate to miss this live. I'll catch up. Love you, players and Bishop. Thank you so much for the support. And we hate that you're missing it too. I hope everything goes well and your power is restored soon. Next, Chris says if he had a time machine, he would go back and do it over. He says that he owes Paige that. Pastor Cal asks Paige how she feels. She says she still admires. He said he feels like she still admires him. Paige says yes, she wanted a happy ending. She's confused hearing Chris's revelations, and it feels like a dark cloud is now over her. She doesn't want to say anything or act on emotion. Pastor Cal says they have to make a decision. If you don't choose to get a divorce, then you're defaulting to choose to stay married. The experts ask the big question, what are you all going to do? Chris takes the lead. Finally, he takes the lead. He says he can't decide and Paige can't either. Maybe that's just the first in this experiment, but they can't make a decision. Dr. Viviana isn't having it. She says she feels uncomfortable and that she feels like Chris is doing this to only play with Paige and to play with the experts in the show. Chris starts almost cursing, saying that he doesn't give a flying F what they think. They're not going to force them to make a decision. Paige finally steps in and says their journey has been very unorthodox. She wishes they had more time as they didn't really have time or were able to spend time together after their honeymoon. Chris says if both people say they can't make a decision, that should be respected. Pastor Cal says that it is respected. If you can't make a decision, that means you're choosing to stay married. Paige says no. She finally wakes up out of her trance. She walks off crying. She says it's too much. She can't do it anymore. She says she's done filming for the day, tells the producer that she needs to talk to her. The producer sits down with her one-on-one, and she tells her she feels dumb for reconsidering, but she's never heard Chris say these things before. She's trying to gauge what's real. Pastor Cal comes over to Chris, whispers and tells him to be responsible and to make decisions for the good of himself and Paige. It's not about the show. Paige is vulnerable and Chris must act responsibly. Paige says that she's numb. The producers asked her, was she sure about her decision when she came? Paige says yes. So the producer asked her, well, why are you questioning it now? Paige says she doesn't want to make the biggest mistake in her life by walking away. Y'all, I was really sad to see all of that go down. Like you literally, if you ever had a question of what a narcissist does, how they gaslight you, how they manipulate you, and how they leave you questioning yourself and your sanity, this played out in full daylight, night light, bright lights, all the lights for us to see. It was on clear display how she was clear in her decision. She knew they were not for each other. She knew everything he put her through, but he fed the vulnerable parts of her, the part that needed to feel accepted, the part that needed to feel wanted and needed. He fed all of that. He used the keywords, you are what I need, you are what I want. I was too blind to see it. I wish I could do it over. He fed into her hope. What you think, Bishop?
Yeah, and she fed him too, because a narcissist only could survive off of a victimized type of personality, a person that thrives off of being a victim. However, I'm glad Pastor Cal told him what he told him. Beyond this show, you need to do the right thing, and because clearly his trash dad didn't tell him that. His trash dad didn't raise him correctly, because even at the wedding, his dad looked like he was, trying to get Paige if he didn't want Paige.
Mm-hmm.
So it's disgusting. Like, to me, the first red flag was he stopped being a pastor because there wasn't enough money. That was the first huge flag over anything. Pastor Cal even seeing that, she said, "Nope, he only need to be on this show. Nah, it's a wrap, son. You can't be on there."
Absolutely.
But it goes to show you how people are, so blinded by people's words and the way they charm people. I'm sorry, I pay attention to what you're saying and how you're moving. Like, if it ain't matching up, I'm like, to me, this is just a fantasy. And she should have known as soon as she said the word dark cloud, I'm like, honey, that's not how you build a relationship. Every time your mate come around, you feel a dark cloud coming over you. That's
Mm-hmm.
called Satan, Beelzebub. I don't know how else to spell it for you, honey. If your spouse come around you, you feel the hair on your neck stand up. It's like, no, this is a little creepy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not chills, but I was so over it. I mean, for a while, I was straight up and down doing this while I was watching it. When they just kept going, I was like, okay, when this is gonna end, Lord Jesus help us.
It
Okay,
was so crazy. It was, oh Lord. Okay, let's get through it because we gotta push through for all about the tea at 8:30. All right.
okay.
Chris says he isn't trying to be disrespectful. He had intentions of walking away, but things changed. Um, I think the runaway for me was a test.
Mm-hmm.
The runaway, when he got up and ran out, was a test to see if she would run after him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And she fell right into the trap.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Viviana says Paige was pleading in her eyes to get out. Dr. Pepper says she was still holding out hope, but she didn't want to push Paige too far. Everyone comes back to the table to make a decision. Paige
Mm-hmm.
says she caught herself doing what she always does. She's trying to retrieve the small piece of hope that she has, because she does see good qualities in Chris, but she's never chosen herself before. She says she doesn't see anything changing between them and can't get beyond the hurt. For the sake of her mental and emotional health, she wants to get a divorce. Yes, come on. Even for a brief moment in time, because I see people in the chat saying they still messing around. uh, I yes, I just At least in that moment in time, she chose herself. Thank you, Miss Redhead, for the super chat. What a great show. Thanks, Liz and Bishop. Dr. Pepper applauds her honesty and growth. I do as well. Chris says he expected to ride off in the chariot. Boy, you was just riding off in the chariot with Mercedes and your baby. That chariot broke down. Get something new to ride in. But instead, he's riding off in the sunset by himself. He respects her, but wishes it went another way. Paige says she doesn't think they were fundamentally a good match. Chris never tried or showed up for the marriage. Love is a daily decision, and it's a no for her. Okay, girl. The experts are overwhelmed, and everybody else is with this filming segment with Chris and Paige. They're worried about Paige, but they aren't going to be angrier than she is. Because of their shenanigans, y'all, this whole thing played out over 6 hours of filming. They had to move decision day into day 2. And what was so funny to me, y'all, was that they wore the same clothes. I'm like, now y'all have already broken the fourth wall and let us see everything that's going on behind the scenes. Why didn't y'all change clothes? Like, why are y'all still sitting there in the same dress and suit and must from yesterday and all that BS with Chris? But one little side note that I wanted to make, y'all, again, we watch these shows. Let's try to learn something from it beyond the BS of Chris and Paige. The bigger story for me, the bigger lesson, I should say, is learning how to walk away from things and people that no longer serve you. Get up, get out. Don't drag yourself through the mud. Don't allow people to take advantage of you. Once the writing is clear on the wall, and even if it ain't clear, go somewhere, get alone, pray, seek your higher power, whatever it is, meditate, get your crystals out, get in alignment, practice non-attachment, learn how to let things go. People and things that no longer serve you. And be clear, that's not in a selfish way. Not like Chris, when things no longer serve you, but things that no longer serve you, meaning those that are affecting your well-being, those things that are detriments and deficits in your life. Trust your gut and your instinct and walk away from those things. If it's somebody that maybe just need a little work or a situation that you can work with and it's overall beneficial, then do the work. But when something is pressing upon you the way this relationship was pressing upon Paige, choose you. So I'm glad Paige, at least on decision day, chose herself. Next, we see Eric and Virginia. Eric, as usual, is professing his love about Virginia, but he has concerns over her maturity, her partying and drinking. Virginia says Eric is a good guy, loyal and protective, but he's too grown up. Okay. And thinks he knows best. Eric says he's nervous. Virginia still has her walls up. He knows he's not her number one. Dr. Viviana asks, who is? Eric says probably her friend group. Virginia says she definitely isn't there yet with him being her number one. She's used to being independent. Eric says that she is his number one and his best friend. Eric says the highs have outweighed the lows for him regarding the decision to stay married. He doesn't know if it's going to work, but he wouldn't change any of it. He gets on his knee with a ring to ask if she will still stay married to him. Virginia says yes, y'all. So yay, we got another couple that's sticking it out, staying together. And one thing that I really liked about this, Eric reveals later that he called her father and asked for his permission to ask his daughter, since, they were married at first sight, they didn't get the full engagement thing. And to me, that again was a nod to Virginia because she was upset about him not reaching out to her family. So he's trying to make those strides. He's trying to do the work and compromise and do things that she needs and wants as well. She says yes, they kiss, and he tells her that he loves her. They have the toast with the experts. Eric stresses wanting to be, again, stresses wanting to be her number one person. Virginia says she loves her husband and is confident in their foundation. Um, I'm happy for them in this moment, but same thing like I said with Clara and Clara and Ryan, they have some serious hardcore differences that they have to overcome. Um, and Virginia, from everything with the partying and the drinking and not wanting to move into his place and the wanting to have children, I just don't know. I've said it before, y'all. I don't think Virginia was ready for this show. People can say that Eric is controlling and things like that. But yeah, when you're married, you can't go sleeping on people's couches, passed out drunk. I don't care how long you've been friends. I have plenty of male friends. I know once I get married, I can't go pass out on their couch. Like, that's just unrealistic. So I think the way Eric delivers his things in like ultimatum form is wrong, but I don't think what he expects is too much. What about you, Bishop? You think they're in it for the long haul?
Again, these people have attachment issues. She seemed like she'll stay there, just simple fact to prove herself wrong. Me on the other hand, it looked like a marriage gonna be death do its part, and it seemed like sooner than later. It like he got a couple bodies in the basement. I'm just saying. I think his relationship ended. I think all of his relationship ends by basement bodies. You know what I mean? Don't he give you that serial killer vibe? Like if you don't do what I say, you going in the basement, girl. I'm just saying. I think she need to tread lightly.
I don't think he's gonna do that. I do think he's gonna I can see him being verbally abusive.
Yeah, at least
I can see him calling her all kind of S's and WH's. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be a power struggle.
But don't he like a lifetime character? Like she walking down the stairs, boop boop boop, and she fall down.
I hope not. Like, I like Eric fundamentally, but yeah, he could be, Dateline material. You never know. We shall see. Brianna and Vincent, last couple, y'all. Brianna says Vincent is attentive and loving. He's very family oriented and fun, but he can be stuck in his ways. He struggles with taking criticism and jokes. Vincent admires Brianna. He likes that she is smart, supportive, caring, full of laughs, quirky and goofy, but she is bossy, too direct. However, he does admit that she's working on it. He says that she's everything he wanted and needed in a wife. They say that their marriage hasn't been easy, but they have supported each other through the process. Brianna says Vincent is emotional, but he taught her how to be vulnerable, how to express her emotions, and how to let him take care of her. That is not easy for her because she's used to being independent. Pastor Cal asks about tone. Have we worked on our tone? Vincent says they're working on it. Brianna says it's been lots of compromise. And Vincent says Brianna is kind, but bossy, direct, and a little rude. It bothers him. Brianna says she doesn't mean any harm and tries to keep it in check, but it is a part of who she is. She can't change herself for who he wants her to be. Pastor Cal asked Brianna for her decision. Brianna says that she didn't want to change herself for anyone, but she likes who she is becoming with him. She has grown to need him. He is her person. He means the world to her, and she wants to stay married and see where they can grow to. Vincent says Brianna has been supportive and brought joy to his life. She and Cookie have made him whole, the little dog. That was so cute. But he is missing something. Dun, dun, dun. More creative editing. So he bends down underneath the couch that they're sitting on and brings out a cheesecake. He then gets on one knee and proposes to her with the cheesecake. And the fat girl in me was here for it. And she said yes again. She said yes again. It's her favorite dessert. Vincent is excited for their future. and he is eager to share their story with their children. I loved seeing their story play out. Again, I think with communication and compromise and some counseling, I do see them making it for the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they can be a good balance, but I love people like to rag on Vinny. He is kind of sensitive, but Brianna is bossy,
Yeah.
And like I said in my last video, bossy and assertiveness are two different things. It's
Mm-hmm.
one thing to be assertive and goal oriented and go after what you want. Bossy is when you start putting all of your wants, needs, demands on other people. That
Mm-hmm.
is where it's the problem. The whole argument of him not getting up when she gets up is pure bossiness. There's no reason that he needs to be up when she gets up, only for the fact that she wants him up.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fight that you shouldn't have. But
Right.
I like them together. I love their chemistry, and I'm happy that we got one couple of color that's
Yes, God.
successful out of this experiment this season. What do you think, Bishop? You think that
Well, we
they're
got
a good
one and a
match?
half.
They're in it.
We got one and a half of Ryan. You know. um, I was happy for that, and to me, it's a classic um personalities that you see with black men and black women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some men don't ever want to admit it, but they're very passive when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to, our sisters. Um, however, that's a factor, a problem we have, stemming from a long ways back, history. However, I'm glad she was willing to work on it, because
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of sad when you don't see people want to work on their character flaw. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not character, but personality flaw. However, I did like she say, I don't want to change myself for someone, but she do like what she's becoming with him, which is what a marriage is supposed to be. You're supposed to bring out the best out of each other. I like that.
That was a mistake. That was a mistake.
Yeah. but I really like the fact that I wish he would have learned something too. Like, you need to be more assertive, brother. Quit being so sensitive. Everything that she does should not affect how you move. That's one thing about some dudes that get on my nerves. Whatever she does, let her do what she says. Sometimes, more than likely, she like, I'm just saying this because I'm just mad today. And you ain't supposed to take it personal, like you internalizing it. Like, even with the whole thing where when they was making that joke and he got so sensitive, like when she's laughing at him because he wastes the wine, whatever,
Champagne Vinny.
the
Yeah.
champagne. And I'm like, bruh, you really that mad over that? Like, you is too sensitive. It's one thing to be in tune with your feelings, and it's another thing to be overly emotional.
Yeah,
Because that
it's
is a
his
turn off.
ego. He got to work on the ego. He has to
Mm-hmm.
tone it down a little bit. And I think probably watching himself on the show will help him
Mm-hmm.
see that more,
Yeah.
hopefully. And hopefully, like I said, they get some continued counseling. Um, because again, you have to, part of it was them learning each other. But now
Mm-hmm.
that she knows his triggers, it's like, to me, she knows certain things and she still does them. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Once you know, not that you need to walk on eggshells, but you do have to take into account how you joke or when you joke.
Mm-hmm.
He may be more amenable to those jokes when it's just them
Mm-hmm.
versus when they're in a group of people or clearly when they're on camera.
Mm-hmm.
So you just time and place. You have to be cognizant of your partner's needs. Lastly, we see the couples all get together and share their decisions that they made with decision day. We see, like I said before, that Eric asked Virginia's dad before he reproposed. Some couples were surprised that Eric and Virginia stayed together. Haley says she doesn't regret the experiment. Jacob says he didn't learn anything.
Wow.
Jacob loves like teeing her off and doubling down. I think he just
Mm-hmm.
said that just to get under her skin. Paige tells everyone what happened with her and Chris, how they filmed for over 6 hours. Um, she says that she told them all the things that Chris said and how she felt he was sincere. It was such a tough decision for her. Virginia asked why. What was her thought process? Paige says she's not going to speak on the other contributing factors, so she wouldn't talk about the miscarriage. The ladies affirm Paige and hope that she finds someone who is more than 60% invested in her and who wants her. They are happy that she chose herself. Paige says she's at peace with her decision. Chris shows up late AF per usual with a box. I was like, what's in this box? Chris apologizes to the couples for any interference he had in their marriages because he knows he was a whole distraction the whole season. Chris says he was torn. He wishes he hadn't rebelled and he had done things differently. Chris says he learned not to sweep things under the rug and that he has to deal with them. He learned about manhood, treating others better. No matter how much success you have, you can always be better. Stop it, Bishop. Eric accepts Chris's apology. They shake hands. Eric wishes him the best. Paige again smiles like a chess cat, and she says she's proud at how much Chris has grown. Brianna cheers to all of the couples getting through the process. Paige says she's happy that Chris showed up for her in this last filming and supported her. Every time she takes one step forward, she takes 10 steps back. I'm like, girl, he showed up to a filming again, probably so he wouldn't get fined. He showed up late as hell, and you're giving him points for whatever reason. So we got 15 more minutes, y'all. We're going to make this quick and go through some of the classic traits that you see in narcissism and that we see when we see people like Chris that we saw play out live and in living color on Married at First Sight this season. And honestly, it wasn't just Chris. It was also some of the other couples. Haley did a lot of gaslighting. Virginia was very manipulative with Eric. Very manipulative. And just a little giggle tee-hee that I found for all of our Real Housewives lovers. We all know about Pastor Holy Horse, so I shouldn't have been surprised that Chris would be who he is when he has mentors like this.
No.
This is a post from 2019. Chris says, my new mentor, Pastor Jamal Bryant. Thank you so much for coming. Not only did you come, but you paid for everyone's food in line, another one of my childhood heroes. So when you have heroes like this, who again is a textbook narcissist, you know, that apple don't fall too far from the tree, kids. And his daddy. Let's not forget his daddy. Yeah. We saw what Chris learned about manhood at the reception, right?
Yep.
So I just thought that was funny. I saw it on one of these. I've been, like I said, I've watched Married at First Sight for years. So I'm in like 12,000 fan groups on Facebook. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, no wonder. That explains so much. But let's get into narcissism, y'all. What is narcissism? So, Narcissism 101. Those who suffer from narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, will follow familiar narcissist behavior. Most notably, they're identifiable by their lack of empathy for others, their inflated sense of importance, the deep need for excessive attention and admiration, in their perpetually troubled relationships. I don't know if y'all was paying attention, but Chris definitely lacks empathy for others. He talks about how Paige didn't support him, even though he was the one putting her through everything. The inflated sense of importance, he had that throughout the whole taping. Everything was about him. Production had to bow to him and his needs and when he wanted to show up. And as we talked about with the social media thing, he was the only one still ranting and raving on social media. The deep need for excessive attention and admiration. He definitely has all of that. You can check his social media accounts for that. And the perpetually troubled relationships. We learned that not only was Chris engaged less than 2 months before coming on this show, he lied to production about that when his engagement actually ended. But this was like his third or fourth engagement. Because remember, Pastor Dwight said he was engaged when he met him 5 or 6 years ago. So this is at least his third engagement, marriage, whatever, potential marriage. Now, let's look at 9 traits of a narcissist. 1, they have this grandiose sense of self-importance. 2, they have a preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. Now, if that ain't Chris, come on, y'all. Power
Right.
couple. I'm gonna be a multimillionaire with all of these different franchises, and that's no Tino shade. It's great to have goals and dreams, but it is the combination of things that leads him to be a narcissist. Beauty. We all know that Chris is not Denzel, Michael B. Jordan. Hell, John Legend was once found as the sexiest man alive. He ain't John Legend. Like Chris, when it comes to look department, doesn't match up as well, but he expects his woman or his wife to be this beautiful, ideal person. The belief that they are special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other special or high status people or institutions. The need for excessive admiration. The sense of entitlement. Come on. I'm getting a lot of Haley in this as well. Interpersonally, exploitative behavior. Chris exploits all of his relationships, even Mercedes. The lack of empathy. He exploited Pastor Dwight too. Envy of others, or a belief that others are envious of them. If y'all go look at that boy's Instagram, he really thinks all of us in these streets are jealous of him. And I couldn't get a screenshot of it, but he made a quote yesterday, or he went on a rant a few days ago that was very 45-ish. I don't say that man's name, but it was very 45-ish. He talked about the ratings of the show and how everybody talked about the show, but it was clearly the biggest rated season of ever, similar to what that other man used to do about Celebrity Apprentice. Demonstration of arrogance and haughty behaviors or attitude. Definitely all him. Definitely arrogant. Definitely haughty. Next. So one of the narcissist's biggest weapons is manipulation. Narcissist is manipulative. Manipulation is a major sign that you could be dating a narcissist. The ability to twist the situation to better suit their narrative is a poignant personality trait that all egotistical people possess. It can be exhausting for those in the relationship. When a person is so skillfully manipulative, you may find yourself falling into their trap and remaining relatively unaware that it is happening. The expert explains, years later, you will connect the dots. The manipulation is clear as day, but we often miss it. Narcissists are masters at getting what they want, and because they have no empathy, they may not care what it costs to someone else. They deviously use manipulation as a tool to get their most essential needs met, which are typically attention, validation, and status. Y'all take a screenshot, write it down, marinate on it, all that good stuff. I don't know about y'all, but that whole decision day meltdown was nothing but pure manipulation. And he was using it to get attention, validation, and status. He was completely unsympathetic until Pastor Cal called him to the carpet on his ish. And honestly, if Paige had not stood up for himself, Chris would have kept going. Even with Pastor Cal calling him out. He just didn't, he began to think, you could see his little wheels turning That's why he doubled back and said, well, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, because he knew how it was going to show on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So he wanted to again manipulate and say, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just trying to let you see my side. Again, making himself the victim.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for the super chat, Paula. Love you guys. We love you too.
Love you too.
And we got one more before we get out of here. Lady Red says Chris definitely felt entitled when he told the expert that they failed to find him somewhat attractive out of all the queens in Atlanta. Yes, ma'am. Definitely. Um, so the last, well, the not the last, but one of the last tools that we're going to talk about that the narcissist use is gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Chris is an expert at this. This is a term that has been gathering pace over the past few years. And I know people like to roll their eyes and be like, everybody ain't gaslighting. Y'all better learn how to peep game. And even if everyone isn't doing it, some people definitely are. People are suddenly realizing the link to narcissism. From a historical perspective, the term arose from the 1930s play Gaslight, where a husband, in an attempt to drive his wife crazy, keeps turning down the gas-powered lights in the house. When the wife asks why he is dimming the lights, he denies it and says they are no dimmer. Over time, she finds herself going mad. Gaslighting qualifies as a form of emotional abuse that involves denying a person's experience and making statements such as, that never happened, or you are too sensitive. The expert says the gaslighter uses techniques such as withholding or stonewalling, contradicting, or diversion. When you bring up something that concerns you and your partner, it turns into something you said years before, or deflects it and describes it as a conspiracy. They also minimize your feelings and deny events that definitely occurred. The damage of gaslighting is that it is confusing, isolating, and often results in you questioning your own reality. You may find yourself constantly apologizing and no longer as relaxed and joyful as you once were. And this is completely what we saw Paige go through in the decision day debacle. She admitted she was confused. She was overwhelmed. She knew when she walked in that this was not going to work. But because he fed her a few lines, he gaslit her. He fed her all of the affirmation and things that she needed to feel validated and feel finally seen as a person. He downplayed how he treated her this whole time. I shouldn't have done that. I'm so apologetic. And now she's like, am I tripping? Like, what is going on? This is
Mm-hmm.
what a gaslighter does.
Mm-hmm.
This is honestly, like I said, this wasn't just Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Haley did a lot of gaslighting.
Mm-hmm. And Ryan did too.
Ryan absolutely did a lot of gaslighting.
Yeah. And
And
giving
then
her
you
hopes and
question yourself.
wishes. Yeah, gave her hopes and
Absolutely.
wishes. We're gonna be physical one day. It's gotta be on my time.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh, please.
And told her she was too sensitive and emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So these are just some tips, y'all. I hope y'all really, if you're interested in it, do some Googling, learn a little bit more, but pay attention to the signs. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have been in a relationship with a narcissist. I have been
Mm-hmm.
gaslit before. It is not
Mm-hmm.
something that you want. It's not a good place, not a good thing to be in. And ultimately, once we know better, we're going to
We do.
do better.
Facts.
Bishop, you have any parting words before we go meet the people over on All About the Tea?
Well, I know I really enjoyed myself, and I like the teachable moment at the end because you definitely got to pay attention to them signs because I know it happened to me too, being gaslit, being with a narcissistic person who only thinks about themselves and their feelings. And every time you find yourself apologizing to them, and it starts to deteriorate your self-esteem. And you sitting there questioning, making excuses for them with family members. Because I know I did. I'm like, well, she just went through a lot of stuff. And I had to sit there and stop and think to myself, like, bro, you crazy?
Mm-hmm.
but it took years. I'm like, my goodness. But it strips away at your self-worth.
Absolutely.
It really does.
Absolutely, it does. So always, y'all, choose you. Um, whenever you get in situations like this and you don't know what to do, at the end of the day, get, like I said before, in your prayer closet, wherever you have to be, and build up the strength to do what we all need to do. You
Mm-hmm.
know, get your little duffel bag and run. Pull a Viola. I ain't got no
Mm-hmm.
more space back here in the back in the backyard, because I would pull up old LeBron gathering his things at the press conference.
Right.
Get your purse, your duffel bag, whatever you got to get, and leave. Run from these
Mm-hmm.
toxic relationships. But I love y'all so much. Thank you all for the support. I'm sorry. I didn't expect us to run this long. I'm long winded.
It's all
I'm
good.
sorry. I like to bust. I like to really break down the episodes. But I hope you all enjoyed it. We're finna click off of here and head on over to All About the Tea. So I hope you all enjoyed. Watch the playback if you missed it. Like, comment, subscribe. Join Bishop over on his channel at the Bishop. Check him out on Instagram and on the Twitters. And we will see y'all later. Bye.
Peace.